Okay, yeah, I'm making another Hythloday video. Yeah, I know, it's a waste of time. I suppose it does bring up these subjects of productivity, maximizing utility, efficiency. These are all concepts that seem pretty obviously, they're connected to ought statements. Maximizing performance. It just seems, as soon as you have value and you say something has a positive 10 value or something has a negative 10 value, it's intrinsic. It's just fundamental that if you recognize some sort of value advantage where you can reduce a negative 10 to a negative 5, that you would do so. And certainly if you recognize that your welfare is just as important as everybody else's welfare, blah, 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 blah. I mean, little examples. I mean, I got bitten by some bees, so I put a sign up warning people that there's bees that sting. If I fell in quicksand, I would put a sign up telling people, hey, quicksand. If there was some dog do on a staircase, I'd put a sign up saying dog do on the staircase. Just because people going down might not see it. If there was a field of banana peels, whatever it is. I mean, obviously, if you see something that's conducive to creating wasted suffering or wasted harm, and you can correct for it by putting a little bit of effort in, or some kind of effort in, you do it. And if there's some sort of big harm, and you can even jump on the grenade to prevent some big harm, well then you jump on the grenade. If you really, you have to have the courage of your convictions and all that kind of stuff. You have to know that doing the right thing is the only game in town, blah blah blah, to get over your own selfish emotional fears and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's what heroes are made of, is logic. As much as anything else is some sort of recognition that there's really no logical recourse. I'm kind of stuck. It's the right thing to do. And it is. I mean, that's the nature of utilitarianism, and certainly negative utilitarianism, or any kind of utility, any kind of maximizing performance. It's as intrinsically and fundamentally, it's like maximizing the recipe. If you know there's an ingredient in a recipe that makes the stuff taste like shit, and it's a totally superfluous ingredient, you take it out. And again, it just depends on how poison the poison is, how much work you do to get the poison out, and how much sacrifice you make, because in the long run, there'll be a huge gain. Your little pain will end up with a big gain, and that's just logical. You really shouldn't have to explain this to anyone. I mean, no one should be incapable of acknowledging, yes, that's basically the game we're involved in. I mean, really, there's just no excuse to not say, concede the point and say, yes, that's the, if we're going to really be maximizing our performance, if we're really going to recognize that doing the right thing is the right thing, yeah, you don't deficit spend, you don't give your kids debt, you don't create a circumstance that degrades tomorrow's fisheries, or you do some other thing to exploit something so nobody else can ever use it again. You don't poison the well. You don't poison the well, out of convenience, recognizing that your short-term convenience will have a long-term penalty that will be paid. And like I said, this is stuff you learn in little fables when you're a kid. You might not learn that it's fundamentally logical. That the ought is built into the structure of the having a value system. Yeah, maybe they're not going to put it in philosophical rhetoric, but the recognition of it, the idea that the future is bigger than the present, this is not a complex concept. So, bad on you for not being able to get that, buddy.
That seems rather pointless to me. No matter what games people like to construct, and their ultimate futility in regards to any grandiose, meaningful sense,
So he's calling it a game and grandiose, whatever games they want to play. So he calls the idea of me acknowledging or recognizing the welfare of other humans being just the same as my own, and that if I had a disease like I was Typhoid Mary, he would think it would be some sort of grandiose philosophical notion that I might recognize that I am a carrier of a dread disease and that I shouldn't give it to other people for my own sake, for my own desire to be something or to do something. I shouldn't put all of them at risk and kill them with a horrible disease for my own selfish purposes, because it's totally unproductive. More harm for the little tiny gain of my gratification. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit the math. It's stupid. It's inefficient. It's non-functional as an event. It's deficient in terms of satisfying the necessary qualifications of minimally efficient.
If they find meaning in that, then it's their prerogative to choose.
Well, again, they don't. Yes, they find meaning in being logical. They find meaning in obeying the simple logical principle that my short-term gain can't be derived at somebody else's long-term pain. That is fundamentally and intrinsically not productive. That it's destructive. That it's bad. It goes in the category of being a bad act, okay, because it's inefficient. Yeah. That's not a frivolous perception. It's not a choice in the sense that it's a logical imperative not to be an asshole.
To choose that. I don't think any logical argument can be constructed around this lack of purposefulness, period.
Well, that wasn't part of my video. You're saying this is a response to my video. Frankly, it's not. It's not about the lack of purposelessness. I used a bunch of examples of things where harm takes place. It's not just a lack of purposelessness. The argument is that there's no productive good big enough to compensate for the negative. So I used the Frankenstein example. That's not just talking about purposelessness. It's talking about suffering. Unless you don't really understand that Frankenstein, the monster, is suffering. And when he's sitting in sewage, as I used in the example, that would be suffering. In a ditch, that would be suffering. I mean, I guess I could have given you more illustration and made it clearer, but I think I did in the previous examples where I talked about the people who get the diseases and the people who get the liabilities and the negatives and the harm that happens to them and the bad events that happen. I talked about the 100 most suffering things on earth today. I use these examples. These are not examples of futility or non-purpose. They're examples of the actual harm that takes place. And the point is that there is no positive value. I said it pretty overtly, that I can't imagine what you're going to put on the other side of the scales. Here's the 100 most tortured individuals on planet Earth on one side. What's the fucking good that happened today? Obama screwed the American people out of another $1 billion? Wait, what's the good you're going to put on the other side of the scale? You know, Hillary's happy little ego because she went up a half a point in the polls? What? What's the big glory moment? Fuckhead. So again, just keep changing the subject, fine, but that's bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit.
And so it's best at least separated from the argument of value creation.
Well, again, I don't know how you can possibly separate the fact that you're not accomplishing anything from the equation of whether or not you should pour gas into the machine that doesn't accomplish anything. Oh yeah, let's go run the machine that doesn't accomplish anything, and let's pour a bunch of expensive gasoline in it to run it. And let's pollute the air. So let's not only spend a bunch of money on gasoline to put in the machine that does nothing, but let's pollute the air, ruin the environment, cause a bunch of harm to organisms that are going to choke to death on the pollution you're going to create, and be slowly poisoned by the lead, let's say, or some other kind of thing. Yeah, to put it into the do-nothing machine. And somehow I have to separate that. No, you don't separate that. It's fundamental to the fucking equation of how you're not accomplishing anything, therefore you can't justify torturing things.
There's always a chance that I'm wrong about this purposelessness. In fact, in my more ethicist leanings, I would think that in actual fact that, contrary to what I might have just suggested, that would be the only method by which you could realise potentially an ethicist philosophy.
Well, whatever. If he's saying something like, well, yes, I figured out that maybe there is utility in preventing harm, and there's function in enhancing the efficiency by putting "look out for the dog do" signs around, and don't let your dog do on the stair signs, and just stay home and quit being a pain in the ass, quit borrowing money, fuckhead. Yeah, if we make some signs, that there's probably a good idea to make lots of fucking goddamn signs. Get a life, spandex wearing 400-pound woman. I mean, get a realistic ego, huh? Come on. Yeah, no, you're not hot.
I may one day make the devil's advocate argument for ethicalism from that perspective. I've already...
Yeah, you've already confused things enough by forcing people to explain ABCs of logical accounting. Okay, this is accountancy. Alright, and so yeah, now you're going to play devil's advocate. So you've gotten 2 plus 2 wrong. You can't figure out that other people are feeling things just as valuable as you, and your brain just happens to be connected to this one individual, and being connected to this one individual does not make this one individual more important than the other individuals. You haven't been able to figure that out, and yet now you're going to say it's time to play devil's advocate as if you haven't made a big enough sloppy mess already. I mean, you're forcing philosophers to waste their time accounting for how suffering is bad. And now you're going to play some other game? Fuck.
Discussed how what I see as perhaps pure intelligence may need a purpose.
may need a purpose. Yeah, no, it will need a purpose. It will need a prime directive. There's no such thing as intelligence if intelligence isn't being applied to a problem. Once again, intelligence has nothing to do if it's not solving a problem. And if whether the problem is getting laid or whether the problem is maybe the intelligence needs that for some reason. But yeah, there has to be a need. And if there's no need, the only default need that could possibly exist is let me go find something that's broken and fix it. That's the only possible agenda intelligence could have. It could not just sit around and say, I'm going to be intelligent. There, I'm intelligent now. I'm going to do some intelligenting. Now, there has to be a motivation. There has to be an incentive. Okay, and the only default incentive for something intelligent is, well, I can't see anything broken, so maybe I better go look for some broken. Because without broken, I got nothing to do.
Well, I must stress, I see these as distinct arguments from the value creation hypothesis, and I think...
Yeah, whatever. Again, you cannot separate the look, it's about ends and causes, and you can't separate the causes from the ends, alright? So it's just silly to sit there and say, I'm going to factor out the what you're buying at the store from the fact that you're paying at the store. Well, there's no point in doing that. It's nonsensical.
The acceptance of value creation is pretty much all of ethicalism can at least follow from that one premise.
Yes, obviously it's the only premise. You have to have some reason to do something, and it is the fact that there's a value stake, there's a welfare stake, something capable of being harmed, broken, tortured, something capable of being in the suffering condition that creates the cause to do something, because now we have numbers, now we have value in the equation. And now the intelligence applies itself to the mere simple function of saying negative bad, bad negative. That we know. Bad equals negative, negative equals bad. This is Einsteinian kind of direct. and positive is positive, and positive is good, and good equals positive, and yeah, we got that part, and now all it is about is let's get more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. Duh.
Under the terms of equilism, but as I've detailed to Logic Rolls the Dice, I believe there's an illegal move in that chain of logic.
Right. Too bad you're not going to mention it here. An illegal move in recognizing the red numbers as bad, debt bad, and profit good. Oh, there's something illegal in that. No, I don't think so.
I hear inmendham speak again of consent, and I think this is a separate issue, aside from the objection that I'm raising of...
I'll concede that this is a separate issue, that consent theoretically in the biggest picture, if you know you're right, if you know you were an intelligence and you had the right answer, it's regardless of consent then, because your judgment supersedes everything else's judgment. But clearly in an atmosphere where we're going to give some benefit of the doubt to the silly people, the rainbow chasers, and say there is some possibility that they have something right, it still doesn't make them capable of superseding, just as if we're going to concede their right, then they have to concede the right of those who would wake up on planet Earth and just be asking the question, why the fuck were you stupid enough to throw me into this slop? Yeah, why put me at risk for this? Where they look at you and say, what the fuck was on your head, you crazy motherfucker? This is not spectacular enough to drag me here. Okay, this might be good enough for you to eat, but I'm not eating this slop. You fucking pig.
Of value creation. It strikes me it strikes my mind that the issue of consent is somewhat ambiguous.
Yeah, well, whatever. You're using this ambiguous again. It can't be any clearer. Okay, you're taking authority, you're making judgments for other people, you're drawing straws for somebody else, you're imposing risk on somebody else, you're saying, I've made a boat and it can sail, and then you force somebody to ride on your boat. I mean, you can't get more up somebody's fucking ass than to shove them out your vagina. I mean, these are the statements that have been made. This is just such a dodge to say somehow it's ambiguous. It's not fucking ambiguous. It just makes the crime that much more disgusting. Okay, it's disgusting that you motherfuckers think torture is okay. It's even more disgusting that you impose it on other people without being certain. You don't have enough goddamn certainty to have the right to be imposing it on somebody else. If you want to sail on your own rickety shit boat, then go ahead. If you want to eat shit, okay, and take the chance of getting herpes or AIDS or something, that's your fucking choice. You want to get into the fucking goddamn cesspool and eat the goddamn turds, that's your business. You have no right to shove somebody else's goddamn face into it, you dumb motherfucking cunt. It just makes your crime that much more egregious, that you don't even have the sensibilities to realize you have no right to impose your silly, delusional, idiotic, moronic ignorance on somebody else. You stupid shit.
Created under inmendham's paradigms. For example, consent is not an issue when it comes to pressing the red button.
Again, the argument is certainty. I'm saying I'm absolutely fucking certain. That's right, I may be committing a crime if I'm wrong. What I'm saying is I'm fucking certain. So I'm going to take my neighbor's money and I'm going to Vegas because I'm goddamn certain. I'm certain enough where you could torture me in goddamn mega double hell forever if I'm wrong. That's how fucking certain I am. It's the right thing to do to save the victims from you motherfucking dumb cunts. I know it's the right thing to do, so I would do it because I'm certain. Certainty. If you can tell me that some fucking cunt who's having a baby has any right to be certain it's all going to be alright, everything will be just fine. If you're going to tell me they have some logical reason to be certain it's going to be alright, that it'll all turn out okay, alright, then you have an argument. But I'm telling you there's no procreator who can have that certainty rationally. I can have certainty rationally. Obviously, you haven't undone a single one of my arguments regarding the premise of life's existence, which is a replicating goddamn fucking molecule, and we are basically just fucking goddamn flatworms singing and dancing on the corpses of billions. You've done nothing to change that as the factual reality of our motherfucking existence. So you have done nothing to degrade my right to be certain based on the evidence. You haven't shown me any evidence saying where my certainty is corrupt, or where it has some doubtability, or where it has some erodibility. There's a ton of erodibility in some fucking procreator saying, I'm certain my kid will not have ALS. I'm certain my kid will not find life disgusting and putrid. There is no fucking right for them to be certain, and the statistics demonstrate their lack of right to be certain. The fact that I fucking exist and my fucking deluded, silly parents sit there and think they accomplished something, okay, is evidence of the goddamn certainty of their uncertainty, of their non-right to be goddamn confident in their silly behavior.
Some sentient merrily enjoying my meaningless purposes that I set myself, and inmendham without my consent will...
Yeah, that's right, because as I've explained 7 million times, the entire biosphere is suffering for your stupid fucking existence, you fucking slimy cunt. Okay, there's puppies and puppy mills for your goddamn dog. You know, you couldn't have your goddamn dog if it wasn't for puppy mills where dogs are sitting in goddamn putrid, disgusting, their own fucking filth all day long. And the attrition rates of these dogs, with the diseases and everything else they get. Okay, for your fucking goddamn right to own a fucking goddamn pet. So every fucking thing you goddamn do implicates the goddamn biosphere, you motherfucking cunt, and that's the part you can't even figure out, okay, you meat-eating motherfucking slime ball? And you're gonna sit there and tell me my harmless existence. You're not a harmless person, you stupid shit. So that's right, I'm gonna press the fucking button because you're so fucking vacuous and stupid that you deserve to have a button pressed on you, because you're too fucking goddamn stupid. You don't even have the humility to admit the fact that your existence is causing suffering in the goddamn world. You won't even account for the animals you fucking gut and pull their guts out and fucking chew on their goddamn corpses. You won't even account for that.
You know, suspend all that with his button pressing for me and a billion others.
Well, this wasn't even the subject of the video, so I'm going to call foul right even there, okay? The subject of the video is whether there are legitimate oughts, okay? We're talking about putting road signs up, putting warning signs up, doing the minimum effort of saying, hey, if you're procreating, you're a motherfucking cunt. That's the minimum motherfucking effort, okay? You won't make the minimum effort, now you're talking about the ethics of the maximum effort, okay? I'm not asking you to goddamn press any fucking red buttons, okay? It's the right thing to do, but regardless, that's not the philosophical conversation. The philosophical conversation is whether fucking goddamn cunt, ignorant motherfucking shitty, silly bullshitters like you have a right to say, I have a right to procreate, okay? It's only my procreation. I'm only using my procreation. It doesn't affect anybody else. Having children doesn't affect anybody else. Fuck you. This video's too stupid. You're too fucking stupid.